Mr. President, excuse me.
It's okay, Democrat leader.
Mr. President. Well, Mr. President, Donald Trump has tried to cover up for Jeffrey Epstein long enough. It's time that the Senate finish the job to finally compel the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. A few hours ago, the House of Representatives passed their Epstein bill with as lopsided as a vote as you can get, 427 to 1. It's now the Senate's turn. In a few moments, I will ask unanimous consent for the Senate to pass the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. My unanimous consent request guarantees that the Senate will immediately pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act without any further action as soon as it comes over from the House. We will pass the House's bill without changes, without delay, and we will finally get this done. Epstein victim groups have made clear that they support this bill as written, without amendments. We should listen to them and pass this bill quickly. They've worked so hard and long to make this happen and deserve tremendous, tremendous credit that we have arrived at this moment. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans or about Congress versus the President. This is about giving the American people the transparency they've been crying for. This is about holding accountable all the people in Jeffrey Epstein's circle who raped, groomed, targeted, and enabled the abuse of hundreds of girls for years and years. The American people have waited long enough. Jeffrey Epstein's victims have waited long enough. Let the truth come out. Let transparency reign. And I urge my Republican colleagues, let the Senate act today. And so, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate receives H.R. 4405, the Epstein Files Transparency Act from the House, the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration, the bill be considered read 3 times and passed with no intervening action or debate, and the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered.
The Senate has now passed the Epstein bill as soon as it comes over from the House. I yield the floor.
And as many of us who are looking at our phones know, that the Senate has passed the bill under unanimous consent.
Great.
It was the women survivors who are here with us tonight who passed this bill because it was their bravery, it was their pain, and it was their light that shone through the darkness that passed this bill today.
That's so fair. Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about that. I'd be totally happy.
Let's do that. We'll set up something.
Also, I'd love to grab a photo with the rest of them. Yeah. Are y'all trying to take photos? I mean...
And so I am thinking about so many women as I am here today. And most of all, I am thinking...
It's all right.
About Virginia Roberts-Giuffre. We would not be here without her. There is no doubt in my mind about that. And, I very much, I think, like many people, there were fights going on. There were definitely women that had, worked so hard for so long for justice. But I had, given up on the idea that anything would happen in this case. After the sweetheart deal, I felt like everyone knew about Epstein. We would see things in tabloids about Epstein. This was not a secret, right? And when I first saw the photo of Virginia and Prince Andrew, I was at my job. I remember so clearly the moment that it popped up on my computer screen, and I just kind of was taken aback. And I just immediately knew the truth behind that photo, and I felt the bravery of this woman who was taking on the world with this story and was being met with such contempt and disrespect.
It's time for the Epstein class to go, to be held accountable. It was an overwhelming vote, 427 to 1. This should pass the Senate quickly. Senator Thune now has said that the president's ready to sign it. There should be no amendments or shenanigans in the Senate. Send the bill to the president. Look, what do the American people want to know? They want to know who else visited Epstein's island, who raped young girls, who abused young girls, who are the other people who were involved. Some of those names have been shared with Thomas Massey and me, by survivors and survivors' lawyers. But what we need is for those files to come out, the files on the Epstein's computers, the witness memorandum, the interviews. It sends a message that Americans are finally sick and tired of a Epstein class, of rich and powerful men who thought they could get away with anything. I mean, it was sick to create a rape island where young girls were taken and trafficked. And it's a horrific moment in our history. It is going to be something we have to grapple with as a nation. I do think when these files come out, from what I've heard from survivors, it's going to shock people that we allowed this to happen, that these rich and powerful people were so divorced from ordinary American values.
We have a terrible habit, both parties, of talking real tough, and then a couple of weeks later we move on to another shiny object. I hope they hang them. I literally hang them with a rope in a tree.
Listen, we knew that with the discharge petition, the votes were going to be there. Everybody is now behind it. President Trump says, you know what? Let's just release it. Now that it has well, number one, there's 65,000 pages that have been released. How many pages you think are left? I don't think there's a whole hell of a lot.
Okay.
You know how many pages? 65,000. That's volumes of paper. That's probably taller than you, right?
Look, this is part of the legislative process. Some people don't like them, obviously, because it kind of goes around leadership. But my general view is this is a tool that every member has to discharge legislation that has a majority of the entire body. And in this case, you have legislation that is advancing forward. Ultimately, that is the prerogative of the entire body.